Hey friends, this is T again with another reaction video, and today we're going to be doing a reaction on female action movies are dead. Girl boss fatigue killed them. Now this is about a critical drinker. I love this guy. Him and Nerd Roddick, they are very funny guys, and they give you a lot of information about what's going on in Hollywood. Because I just can tell that these guys, I might be wrong, but I have a feeling that a lot of these guys have some kind of association with Hollywood, or at the least comic books or something like that. So they in the in crowd, they understand what's going on behind the scenes, because not everybody is welcome in Hollywood, even if they started out that way. Sometimes they reject it, so they'll have to start their own little podcast or whatever, or they got fired or something like that, right? And I believe these guys probably fall into that category, okay? I'm not exactly sure if they got fired or anything like that. I'm just saying that somehow I get the feeling they have, like, they're in the know, okay? At least if not from themselves, they know people that know things, okay? So I think that's the reason why they got so much good information going out there. Now I'm sure Hollywood is hating that, and they're hating these guys for putting out the truth. But this is the thing, the stuff that they say could help Hollywood. You know, it's sort of like when you do a reaction to a trailer, right? But they don't let you monetize it. And you thinking, why wouldn't they want the free promotion? You know what I mean, right? Especially if you're thinking it might not do so well, but yet they get mad and then they block you or something like that, right? And for some reason, they don't allow you to make any money from YouTube. It ain't like they losing money, right? Like I say, if anything, they're getting promoted. But for some reason, there's some people that's in Hollywood that say, screw all that. We don't want you not making a cent. I don't care if it's through another company or whatever. We just don't want you making anything, even if it gives us some type of promotion or whatever, right? It's crazy stuff. And the things these guys say can help them with their problem right now, the girl boss problem, right? I went to see Ballerina. I really enjoyed it. And right now it falls into one of those sleeper type movies now. Because if you don't know what a sleeper movie is, basically, it's one of those movies that go under the radar. People don't know that it's good until word of mouth or something right there, and then they'll come see it. It's called like a sleeper hit. You know what I mean? Something that's good but doesn't really be good when it comes out. Let me give you a perfect example. Grease, okay? That movie is a good movie. I really love that movie, okay? But when it first came out, I think it was a flop. I think so, but it didn't make a lot of money. Let's just put it that way. But over the years, people started to realize it was really good and started, build momentum. People start talking about it and so on and so forth. And I think this is what's going to happen to Ballerina. But because of what's going on with the girl boss situation, that hit Ballerina hard, okay? And I think this is what he's about to talk about, that because of these things with this girl boss, the attitude, the downplaying of men, all the other crazy things, that's what probably hurt Ballerina. So I'm believing that's going to be the case, all right? So let's go ahead and get into this reaction. But before we do, please like, subscribe, and share this video. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you know whenever we come out with new videos, okay? All right, let's get with it.
When I did my review of Ballerina a few days ago, the most obvious point of comparison was Furiosa, and it's not hard to see why. Both movies were female-led spin-offs from established male action franchises, both starred pretty likeable actresses playing well-rounded protagonists, both came away with solid audience scores and positive critical reviews. There was no backlash, no negativity around them, no controversies or media firestorms, no actors shooting their mouths off.
Now, I didn't see Furiosa. I didn't see it. I was going to go see it at the movie theater, but I was really tapped out, man, with a lot of stuff, and I think things were going on in my life that I really wasn't in the mood. The Road Warrior is one of my favorite movies with Mel Gibson, and you get the feeling that they just copying off of that and tried to, put a woman lead in it like they're doing so many movies now. So I guess I didn't have enough energy to want to go see it, basically, okay? And it's probably been on streaming for a while. I keep meaning to watch it because I heard people say it was good. Just like Ballerina was good. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I saw Ballerina in the movie theater, of course. But, now I kind of wish I did go see this because people say it's good. But I'm going to definitely watch it on streaming. I'm also going to watch Sinners, too. That's another thing I thought I was going to go see, but I didn't. But I'll just watch it on streaming, man. I catch a lot of the stuff, man. And maybe if things start to improve and they keep on putting out good hit movies, then I'll start going to the movie theaters more. But I think a lot of these girl boss things kind of hurt them. And I think this is what he's alluding to. That, for once we won't complaining about these movies. I didn't hear anything bad about Ballerina, okay? I mean, you might have one or two people out there that might say something negative, but generally speaking, most people didn't say anything. Not like usual, okay? Because we're trying to be straight about these movies. We're not trying to lie or deceive people. If we think it's going to be crap, we're going to say it's crap. And we're going to be honest about it. We're not just going to just say it's going to be good when it's not. We're just not going to do it. And the guys that I do reaction to or watch, they don't do that either, at least from what I can see. So, and why didn't they make any money? That's the problem. Why didn't, at least in the movie theater, they didn't make any money. They weren't hits. Why is that? And I think he's about to talk about that now.
No negativity around them, no controversies or media firestorms, no actors shooting their mouths off.
It's Hollywood, baby.
And yet, both of them flopped at the box office. The question is, why? Well, this is where things get a bit contentious, so pay attention, dear viewer, because we're taking a deep dive into the murky world of film franchises. One of the fundamental problems that both of these films struggled with is that it's always tricky to launch a spin-off from a franchise that's so heavily based around its central character. Yeah. Franchises like Star Wars or Marvel or Star Trek are bigger than any one character or story, and so they lend themselves much more easily to spin-offs and side projects. It's more about the world than the people in it. Character-based franchises are a completely different story though, because they are the selling point. Yeah. In this case, both John Wick and Mad Max soon became bigger and more memorable than the actual movies they were part of. Most people would probably struggle to remember the plots for John Wick 2 and 3, but man, they remember Keanu Reeves was fucking cool, and that's what they really gravitated towards. That right there is what kept them coming back for the next installment. Mad Max.
That is so freaking true. You never really think about it. They were good movies, don't get me wrong. But you really, really gravitate around the character. It's just like when Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing his movies, right? Back in the day. You just love Arnold Schwarzenegger. You like the way he talked smack, the way he kicked tail, all that kind of stuff, right? And also he was a masculine guy, so a lot of guys kind of looked up to him, okay? Especially guys in the gym. I told a story about this guy that was a bodybuilder that I knew, a friend of mine, and he loves Arnold Schwarzenegger, man. He did. So it's like, yeah, you probably don't even realize it, but you do focus on these characters because when you hear those big names, it draws you to the movie theater. It does. And after a while, after seeing Christopher Reeves and Superman, I wanted to watch him in other stuff because I liked him. Okay? So when they carbon copy these movies and put a chick in it, it's like, okay, you really never earned our what's the word I'm looking for? You never really earned our allegiance, our respect, none of that stuff. And why am I going to? I like Anna de Armas, okay? And I like her movies. That was part of the reason why I went to see her. So she is somewhat popular. But obviously she's not popular enough because the movie didn't do well, okay? But I loved her in it. I love her in other stuff, okay? But these are other people's franchises. She didn't start this on her own. Just imagine if this was just if you take Keanu Reeves out of the situation, right? And this was like her movie from the beginning, and that's why a lot of people say you should create something new for these females. Then it might have been a hit because it was just completely based off her. But they won't do it. They always got to make a female version of a male character for some reason. And they think it's an easy way in. Instead of just letting these women, create something for them on their own. And there's a few actresses out there that want this. But Disney and a lot of these other companies won't do it. I think it's like a bigger risk than they want to take. But they had so many flops. You would think at this point, they'd be like, let's go ahead and take a risk. Because we got so many flops so far. We might as well go ahead and try something new. And put a female in it. I'm sure nobody would complain. Nobody would complain.
2 and 3, but man, they remember Keanu Reeves was fucking cool, and that's what they really gravitated towards. That right there is what kept them coming back for the next installment. Mad Max Fury Road kinda struggled with this problem because Mel Gibson had aged out of the role while the movies were on hiatus, forcing the studio to bring in a younger Tom Hardy to replace him. They more or less got away with that though, partly because the awesome action scenes compensated for it, but also because there was still some kind of continuity there. Even if the actor might have changed, it was still the same character they'd come to know and love over the years. Both Furiosa and Eve from Ballerina didn't have the benefit of all that fan goodwill and attachment. They had to earn it like they were starting from scratch. They weren't piggybacking off the success of their predecessors, they had to stand on their own merits and earn it for themselves. Yeah. Unfortunately, their studios didn't seem to understand this and budgeted both movies like they were mainline sequels. To put this into context, the original John Wick brought in $86 million worldwide, which isn't exactly blowing the lid off the global box office, but it didn't have to. It only cost $20 million to make, and so that $86 million haul generated a nice little profit for the studio. Ballerina, on the other hand, is projected to make about $100 million worldwide, which would have been great news if the studio had the sense to budget it like the first John Wick. But they didn't. It cost $90 million to make, more than four.
That's something else. Why would they spend so much money on an actress that isn't that popular? Yes, I like her as an actress. I think she's a great actress. She's cute as all outdoors. She's gorgeous. And I like her attitude in a lot of the movies. But she's not at that level. She's not a Sylvester Stallone. She's not a Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I'm saying? She's not a Brad Pitt, George Clooney. She's not a Keanu Reeves. They had to build their careers up to that point. You know what I mean? To start making that kind of money, okay? She haven't got put in the position to do that. Not on her own. Something that's just created just for her. So that's crazy. They spent 20 on Keanu Reeves, who already was a big star, but yet they spent 90 million on her. That's something else, man. But that tells you right there, they probably thinking, yeah, we really need to spend some money to sell this baby, right? But it didn't work out. I'm sure at some point they probably gonna make their money back, maybe. But yeah, it just didn't do well in the theater. And that's usually what they really going for.
4 times as much as the first movie, and so it needs to make 4 times more to turn a profit. Yeah. And clearly it's not gonna make it. It's the same story with Furiosa. That film brought in $178 million worldwide, which would have been great news if it had cost 40 or 50 million, but it didn't. It cost $168 million. That's insane.
So what is this, man? I can't use that same excuse I used with Disney because they be spending this kind of money and the movie looks shabby. You know what I'm saying? But these movies look good, so it's more believable that they probably spent this kind of money on it because it looked like they really went out for these stars. They're really trying to make these stars movie stars. But like I said, they haven't earned it. They haven't earned it because Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these other people, man, they went years making flops, being background characters, all kind of stuff, man. Harrison Ford did the same thing, right? He did carpentry during the time he was working in Hollywood. They really had to work up to that point until some kind of hit really made them a household name. These people haven't done that yet. She never had a hit that made her a household name, not based off her name. You know what I'm saying? It just never happened. I like her too as well. Taylor Joy, I think that's her name. I like her too. Both of these actresses are great, and then you are really curious of why they didn't make a lot of money, since most people probably know who they are. But like I say, back to the girl boss situation. I think it might have been other movies that did it, man. It's just after a while when they were putting out these crappy movies like the Black Widow and all this other stuff, man. It was like you just get tired of it because you expect the same thing. But I bet you $1 million, a lot of people will start watching it probably during streaming though.
For a movie with an unproven character from a franchise that always specialized in low-budget action thrillers.
Yeah.
My point here is that spin-offs generally don't generate as much interest or as much revenue as the original movies, and if both studios had been realistic about what these films could actually achieve and adjusted their expectations and budgets accordingly, they might have ended up turning a solid profit instead of being depressing flops. Now, that's the business side of the equation, but there's a much bigger problem that's brought down both of these films. A cultural backlash that's been building up for years now.
Yeah, starting with this, making her a superwoman. It's like it took years for these Jedi to learn these tricks and to be as good as they are. She just walked in out of blue and she was better than everybody. And it was boring because, I can't speak for women, but men want to see a man earn it. That's the satisfaction right there. They want to see a man earn it. And when they do, it's like a prize because this is our reality. We got to earn what we got. And then when we finally make it, if we make it, and that's a big if, but when we finally make it, that's a big deal for us. Then we went through all this crap to get here. And other guys respect us for that too as well. Because we tell them the stories, man. Yeah, man, I was talking with this young guy, man. I told him all the crap I had to do. I wasted money. Situations happened in my life that I screwed up, boy, it just happened. I had to struggle through a lot of things or whatever. But finally, I got to the places that I wanted to get to, but I don't want to let go of any of my struggles getting there because it was hard. And men respect that. And this is what we expect from our heroes. But they're not doing this with the women. They just making them super women. Super women, man. From the jump, they just walk. But you know what? This is the thing. It's an ongoing conversation with Fresh and Fit, especially with Myron Gaines. He say women are like given they value. Men have to earn it. I'm sure if you watch this content, that's what he says. And it seems like they're doing the same thing with these movies. These women don't have to earn it. They can just walk in and they get a franchise. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And then they wonder why people aren't interested in them. Why these characters are like Mary Sue's, or what they call them, right? Just not interesting because they never earned it. I mean, the women aren't really interested in Star Wars and all this stuff. They're not not even ballerina and stuff like this. Action movie. Women were never that much into it. They either went with their boyfriends or they liked a particular actor like Mel Gibson, so they went to go see it. But you got to throw a bunch of romantic stuff in too, like Braveheart, for example, for women to go see it. But this is a straight up action movie with no love interest. Women ain't interested in that. They're not. Most of them anyway. So, and the guys, she didn't earn it. Ray didn't earn it. So guys can't respect her for it. If she would have went through all the crap, learning and training and doing all this kind of stuff, the hero's journey, then people would have been excited possibly more about her character. But the guys were like, nah, she ain't earned it, and yet she better than even Yoda. I mean, it's insane. But they don't think about it. They too busy thinking about virtue signaling all the time.
And has finally exploded harder than me after a particularly strenuous session with Tatiana. The fact is, audiences today are getting a bit fucking sick of girl boss movies because they've had nothing but girl boss movies shoved down their throats for the past decade or so. And in particular, they're sick of seeing their favourite male-led franchises getting taken over by unlikable, arrogant, abrasive, and infallible feminist power fantasies, usually written by talentless hacks and embittered activists who they're commanded to like and respect simply because they've been crowbarred in to replace someone far more popular. Fan bases don't work like that.
Yeah.
The big pop culture franchises are the most obvious and high-profile examples of this, but the truth is that it's spread to almost all facets of entertainment.
This is the thing. Let me go back. Let me go back for a second. I like the way they did this. It was certain times it looked cheap and crappy, but like this right here, it looked good. And they really could have done something with this character. I don't care for the actress that much that play her character, but she's not that annoying on screen for me not to like it. It just sucked. The shows just sucked. You know what I mean? She-Hulk is a very likable character. Her comic books weren't that popular, don't get me wrong, but I really like that character, especially when she cameo on other comic books, okay? You know, the Hulk comic books, Captain America, Avengers, the X-Men, Fantastic Four, all this kind of stuff. Loved her in these cameos, right? She makes great cameos. And they should have started her off this way instead of just giving her a show. You know, for some reason Disney don't want to build when it comes down to female actresses. They don't want to build nothing. You know, it ain't like they gonna just stop making movies or something like that. They got time. Let people grow into these characters. Let them being like use the She-Hulk into another movie, another male movie or whatever, right? And let her build that momentum. And then like, okay, now since all the fans like her and they want to, you know, they demanding to see her in her own movie. Let's go ahead and make her own movie. Nobody asked for a Black Widow movie. Nobody asked. Everybody liked her, and everybody like, you know, it's cool if they did make a movie for the Black Widow, but nobody demanded for that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta wait for the demand before you start trying to shove it down people's throats, man. But they don't do that now. They don't even try to wait for anybody saying, yeah, we really want to see this character in their own standalone movie. They just want to shove it down your freaking throat. It's crazy stuff, man. Hollywood is just really, really lost sight of things.
The truth is that it's spread to almost all facets of entertainment. Like, how many times have you been told that some old movie or TV show is getting a revival,
She flying.
updated for
I looked at that tip, and I was thinking, right? Let me go back this second. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting, but I was thinking when I saw this movie, because I did go to the theater to see this. I wanted to see something new and different, so that's what I thought it was going to be. And she was doing magical things and stuff. Just like when Princess Leia used the Force to bring her back out of space into the ship, man. It's like, and what I loved about the Force was they rarely used it. It was one of those things where they used it when they needed to. You know, they kept it simple. You know, they didn't make her like witches or anything like that, because they look like witches doing this stuff. They don't look like Force users. You know what I mean? You didn't see freaking Yoda flying and stuff like that. You know, they just used it when it was necessary. You know, George Lucas had the sense not to overuse it. Because I think he didn't want to make it look like it was magical powers or something, okay? It was something there. And it wasn't on them. Because even when you listen to Yoda and when he talk about the Force, right? Everybody know this scene when he's trying to teach Luke Skywalker about the Force. He was talking about he said, my ally is the Force. And what a powerful ally it is. He wasn't giving himself credit. He was giving the Force credit. It's just like with us Christians, right? We don't give ourselves credit. We give God credit. We give Christ credit. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way Yoda talked about the Force. It wasn't about him. He was trying to make Luke Skywalker understand that. It ain't about us. The Force is something that, you know, helps us combine the world. You know, we use it for our strength and all these other things. It's the Force. But they made it all about her. Okay? The Force was just there. But they made it all about her. They took away the meaning of what it was about the Force. They just took it away. And it's insane, man. And then they run around trying to figure out why it didn't work. Yeah, and I can sit behind the scenes, these weak men and women be like, yeah, let's make her fly and use the Force more powerful and make Leia like use the Force to fly into the ship and all that goofy stuff. Because they don't know what the Force was all about. And that what made that speech from Yoda so meaningful. Because he understood what the Force is. And these people don't know. And that's why they failed.
You've been told that some old movie or TV show is getting a revival, updated for modern audiences, of course, usually followed by sneering think pieces, decrying the original as a dated relic of a less enlightened time, and fawning interviews with pretentious actors up on their soapboxes about how excited they are to bring a modern dimension to their formerly outdated characters. How many times have you seen your favourite male heroes brought out of cold storage just so...
You know, I haven't seen this movie, and I don't know. It might be decent. Who knows? I hear it's not, but I hate seeing Harrison Ford character this way. to the point I couldn't even go see the movie, not at the movie theater or on streaming. And I don't know if I'll ever watch it because I loved Indiana Jones, man, and a lot of young men did, and older men. But the way Harrison Ford allowed himself to be dumbed down for a woman, man, it's heartbreaking to the point I don't even want to see it. I know there's some YouTubers that probably watched it just to make fun of it or whatever, but it really was devastating when I found out that what they made him into and what he allowed. It was devastating. I was like, I don't even want to see it. I don't, not even to this day. And that been out for a while now. I still don't want to see it. So, yeah, man, it's crazy stuff.
They can be mocked, belittled, outperformed, and ultimately replaced by their idealized, overpowered female superiors. It's all happened so many times now that even the most easygoing, culturally neutral normies are just kind of fucking done with it. It's exhausting and demoralizing, and most people just can't handle it anymore. And at worst, a good chunk of audiences are actively rebelling against it. And what's the end result of all this? Well, in blunt terms, the female action star is fucking dead now. Audiences have been burned so many times now that anytime a new female-led movie shows up, they basically roll their eyes and say, "Oh, here we fucking go, another girl boss." They're unwilling to give any female-led action movies a chance now, to the point where actual good and respectful examples like Furiosa and Ballerina all get lumped together and flushed down the same cultural toilet bowl as the watery shite excreted by Disney, Marvel and Amazon. And when I think about it, that really is a shame, because believe it or not, there was once a time when we really did have it all. Go back as recently as the 2000s or even the early 2010s, and we had a whole bunch of established female-led franchises like Resident Evil, Underworld, Tomb Raider, Kill Bill, and The Hunger Games. And you know what?
You loved them in it, because it was original. And she's another actress. Look, I don't agree with everything behind the scenes. I always keep saying that, right, before I give them a compliment. But she wants to do her own thing. She wants her own franchises. She wants to be, and she, in a way, she is kind of masculine. So she want to be like the boys, but she did it in the right way. To the point it won't irritating. To the point she won't trying to steal something from a man or anything like that. She just wanted to do her own thing. Okay, I don't know how she is in a relationship, but as far as the movie star goes, she was the it. Okay, she was the it. So yeah, that's how they should do it. They should let them build up to the point where people actually want to see them in the movie alone. But they didn't want to do it. They want to skip all that, man. Just throw these women into these big old franchises that they spend so much money on.
Nobody fucking complained about them then. There were no boycotts or backlashes or cultural warfare raging around them. Nobody cared because they existed alongside male-led franchises instead of trying to replace them. There was enough room for everyone, and there still is today. The problem is that the well has been poisoned to such an extent that it's treated more like a battle to the death that only one side can walk away from, instead of a fun and vibrant genre that encourages new ideas and opportunities.
They want to make the men the women. They want to switch the roles. They want to make the men weak and follow behind the woman. That's why they don't even want to share the screen anymore. Because that's just like he said, we never had a problem with women lead movies. They were good, but then they were like, that wasn't enough. We want more. We want more. And we want to put our foot on the men's necks at the same time. Probably because a lot of the stuff they had to do behind the scenes. And I'm talking about that couch thing that people talking about all the time with like Harvey Weinstein and all that kind of stuff, right? So they want to get revenge because they hate men for all the crap they had to do behind the scenes just to get a movie. Nobody made them do it. They just did it. Okay? So they're angry and they're mad and they want revenge, it seems. So now they just want to crap all over all the men. They want to take over Hollywood and just do whatever the hell they want. And it's not working. So when things don't work for them, what are the first thing they do? Well, yeah, if you are a real man, y'all will help us be able to step on your necks. That's what they do, man. They always try to make you feel guilty because the stuff that they doing isn't working. So they like, okay, we need the man again, but let's just guilt them into helping us so we can gain power again and put our foot on their necks. And their weak man is out there willing to do that. So, yeah.
One of the fundamental rules of the universe is that every action has a reaction, and if your action is to spend years shitting on male heroes just to elevate low-quality female replacements, then guess what? The reaction is that audiences will stop watching what you make, whether it's good or bad. The female action star is dead because the girl boss killed it. Anyway, that's all I've got for today.
Go away.
Go away now.
All right, we just reacted to female action movies are dead. Girl boss fatigue killed them by the Critical Drinker. Now I'm gonna leave the link below in the description. That way you can watch it without my commentary. But you know, my commentary is really good too. So watch both. Okay, watch both. But either case, he made great points with that. Some of the points is obvious. You know, a lot of us thinking, I mean, you know, sometimes you don't like a movie, but you don't know why you don't like it. You just never question why you don't like it. You just don't like it. But it's good sometimes to hear somebody explain why you don't like it. Okay, you're like, oh, now that's the reason why I didn't like that. And that's what the Critical Drinker and Nerd Router does. They explain why you don't like it, okay? It's not enough that you don't like it. You have to understand why. It's sort of like what that woman said on The Matrix, right? The Oracle, right? You already made the choice. You're here now to understand why you made it. Okay? So they let us understand why we made that choice not to go to the movie theater to watch this crap. So it's like, that's it. Like I say, man, you know, maybe somewhere down the line they'll start to figure out, or maybe they'll watch one of these videos and start to understand why it's not working. Because the kind of money they have is finite. It can't last forever. Even Disney can't go on this road forever, okay? At some point they're gonna have to make corrections and fix it, okay? But instead of just, you know, making men feel guilty or spending more money or, you know, shaming audiences and all this kind of stuff, they're gonna eventually have to say, look, this ain't working. We need to bring in people back again, like the Russo brothers, to make this work and try to understand, really try to understand why people ain't coming to see these movies. They're gonna be forced to do it. And I believe Anna de Armas got shafted, but she was sounding like she was getting a little arrogant too, okay, during some of these interviews, because she probably was proud of the movie. And you know Hollywood people can get pretty arrogant anyway, so I'm not really gonna hold it against her. But it was a good movie and she got shafted. She got shafted, man. I believe she got shafted. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed her. And she got shafted. And is it unbelievable, the little girl beating up big old men? Nah, but who cares? It was good. It still was good. But yeah, she got shafted, man. And it's because of Disney and some of these other companies trying to push this female girl boss narrative. It's their fault. They got people tired, not just the fans, but also women. Women get tired of seeing that crap. I even spoke about Victoria's Secret, man, when they were putting all these different shapes and sizes of women into this instead of just using the regular angels that they used in the past. Women didn't want to see that. They thought they were hurting men, okay? Let's just make that clear. They thought they were hurting men, just like they thought they were hurting men in Marvel and Star Wars. But women aren't interested in this stuff. Women want to be a part of something that's exciting, that's popular. And who makes it that way? Men. And when, just like football, women don't care about football, but they want to show up and be there because it's popular. Okay? That's why they want to, you know, they do these selfies from courtside and all this kind of stuff, right? Because it's popular. And that's the reason why they want to be there. Other than that, they don't care. And Hollywood seems to can't grasp onto that fact. But, you know, they're going to learn. You know, they're going to be billions and billions of dollars in before that happens. But they're going to learn eventually. You know, hopefully. But either case, I really enjoyed the Critical Drinker. I think he's great. Fantastic. I really love his material. Definitely go watch his channel, okay? He's great. He's fantastic. All right. I really appreciate all of you coming by. Thanks again. This is T and peace.